Alright, welcome back to yet another video in the multiplayer component-based inventory system. Yeah, let's just keep going. So what we have so far is we have our little item that we can pick up. When we pick it up, it goes to our inventory, but we can't really do much more than that. And from here, there's gonna be a bunch of decisions that we're gonna make, but we want, or I want to make this as useful as possible for as many people as possible. So we want to make it useful for controllers, for keyboard and mouse, for everything. So we're going to make a bunch of different variables here to actually control this. But before, we're probably going to add more of the controller functionality later. But first and foremost, let's do the PC version. So what we want to do now is we want to enable our mouse. We want to be able to actually scroll over these items. Where is our characters? Or let's go to the details. There it is. So in our components, we can make more variables here to control it. Should we do that now? Yeah. Or actually, we have this show inventory. We are gonna make a variable that says controller to false by default. When we show the inventory, so later on we're going to do the controller logic from the true, but since we are not using a controller right now, we are going to do set to game and UI. We can do the inventory in focus. And we can get the play controller. In there. Probably want to lock it in full screen. We are also gonna get the play controller again. And we're gonna do set show mouse cursor to true. And on hide inventory, we're gonna copy these 3 nodes. Or actually, I'm going to copy all of this, and on the hide, we're going to do the same. But here we'll do set input mode to game only. Delete this and hide the mouse cursor. Show mouse cursor to false. See? Now we can see that we get our mouse cursor when we open the inventory. Perfect. Let's go to our slot. The item image. Selected visibility not hit testable. So what that does is that basically there's no hit events from the mouse over it, so that we can actually press the button below it. Let's see if that makes a difference. Does not. the button style. Let's change this back, the background color back to white. So just gonna remove this for now. Yeah, there we go. So we're just gonna set the normal to black instead. A little transparency, just because. And the hovered, can we set the 4? The hovered to still black. I'm just gonna see which button it is. Okay, we're just gonna do it, keep it easy. So the hovered is just gonna be gray. There we go. There we go. Perfect. We can bring this back. We're just gonna keep it easy for now. We can easily improve this later. The looks of it. This is just to keep it simple. A little bit smaller. So what we want to do now is so there's a bunch of different ways to make inventories. I'm gonna make this in a very modular way, as I said. So there's 2 different types of inventories generally. We have the drag and drop, so that we can drag this one out in the world. And we have the ones where you press, you get a little menu that says like drop item, equip item, or whatever. So we're going to try to do them both in the same project, so that we can do whatever you want to and adapt it to your own project later. So we will start with the dragging part. I think. Yeah. We will start with the dragging part, and we can do the other parts later. So or should we do it the other way around? Because it's easier. Let's do it the other way around. Or no, because we did the drop in the other one. Let's start with the drag and drop stuff because it's easy. So in here, in the inventory slot, we're gonna go to override, and on on mouse button down. Which one is it? On, let's do on mouse button down. So on mouse button down. So go to overrides, on the mouse button down. From the mouse event, we're going to do detect drag if pressed. Left. So if we press down with our left mouse button, we detect drag. And then we need another override called on drag detected. So that's what we're doing here. We're detecting drag if we press the widget with our left mouse button. So that means on drag detected, we're gonna create create drag and drop operation. There we go. The payload will be self. There we go. So plug in self to both the drag visual and the payload, and let's just see if we can actually drag it. Can't. Is that because it's a button? Let's go back and actually do just gonna see. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so when we press the button, that doesn't work, but it works if we have visibility on the over the button. It's a little bit annoying though, because we can't use the hovered. I'll keep it like this for now. Yeah, we'll keep it like this for now, just to have it draggable. I'll find a way later, because what happens now is that we hover the button, but then we go to the image and it stops being hovered. So I'll deal with that later. Maybe we shouldn't use a button. I'll deal with that later. Okay, there we go. Sorry about that. So, okay, we need another. I'm just trying to figure out how we should do this. So we need another widget. User widget. We're going to call WB drop slot. And we're going to do canvas. And we're going to do an image. And for the brush, we did the transparent, did we? Yep, we made the transparent. Okay, let's go to this transparent material that we made before and set it to material domain user interface. And apply. That means we can use it as a texture. We are now going to anchor it to the entire screen. And we're just gonna zero on all the offsets. So that means that this transparent image now covers the entire screen. Save everything. And in our inventory, we want to make a drop slot. And yeah, you can obviously just make it as large as you want to. I'm just gonna make it cover the entire screen here as well. And make it at the bottom. That's important because now we can drag behind the inventory and drop stuff behind the inventory. It shouldn't be in the front because then it will block everything else. So in the drop slot, override on a drop. So this is when we drop. We get the operation, cast to let me just see what I need here. 1 second. And there we go. Yeah, okay. So in our drop slot, we get this payload, which is this slot that we are dragging. So in the drop slot, we're gonna, from the operation, get payload. There we go. And from the payload, we're gonna cast to inventory slot. And we are just gonna, for now, we're gonna print string. Let's see if stuff works. So when we drop on the drop slot, we should get the name of the item we are dropping. And we do. So you can see that we can drop it wherever. And we get the name. So that's perfect. So that is working. So from here, we need to figure out a way to... I'm not sure if we can do replicated function from... Let's just try to see what happens. I don't think this works, but we'll see. So we'll do server spawn actor from class. So just right click into a custom event. Make it run on the server. And from there, spawn actor from class. And then we're gonna drag the class in. We need a reference to our pawn, actually. Get pawn. Get owning player pawn. Let's see. There's a lot of ifs here. We'll see if this works. Get transform. We'll do try to adjust location, but always spawn. This is a huge if this is working. So on the drop, we're gonna do server spawn actor from class. And we're just gonna spawn the master item for now without passing anything. Let's just see if it works. Yeah, I thought so. Because we don't want to make this function will definitely work if we create it in the character, but we don't want to create it in the character. Give me 1 second and I'll figure something out here. All right, we're just gonna take the long way around. So we want to keep minimal logic, as I said, in our player character, but there are some stuff that we're just gonna have to do because we can't do all of the replicated functions. It's another thing if you're doing a single player game, but this is gonna be a replicated inventory system. So we do need to have some functions in our player character. So you're just gonna have to add these into the character later on. So we need to do 2 custom events, one called, actually for now, just one, server spawn item. Actually, when I pick up the item, don't I destroy it from here? That should also not work. No, I destroy it from the item, so that works. Okay, spawn item. Server spawn item gonna be run on server, and we're gonna do spawn actor from class. We're just gonna have to do this. This is a little bit risky, but we're gonna use the, so we're doing on server, we're gonna get the actor location. So this is our, so this is actually the location that the server thinks this character is on, which is probably fine. We're gonna split. We're gonna actually no. We're gonna get forward. We'll just do this. Get actor locations. Get actor transform. There we go. We're gonna do try to adjust location, but always spawn, and that's fine. So we're gonna use the interface because we don't want to cast. And make another function. This one is going to be called f spawn item. So in our drop slot, we're going to delete this. We're going to get owning player pawn. Does implement interface. If that is true, which it should be. We are gonna do spawn item, which is this one. And in the slot, we don't actually have. So in the slot, we actually don't, we only use, when we update, we only set the image. So we need a variable for that as well. We're gonna have item, held item. It's gonna be master item class reference. So on update, we're gonna set held item. So we're gonna have to add that also later. We are now in the inventory slot. So when we update the inventory slot, up until now we only set the image, but for now we also set the actual item. That means that here we have the held item. We can now get it. And in the interface, we now need an input of item to spawn, or master item should be a class reference here. And we're gonna call it item to spawn. We can put it in there. So what happens here is, so when we drop, if the character has the item interface, inventory interface, which it does, we're going to call the spawn item function. So in the master item and in the master character, yeah, we need to do it like this. Spawn event spawn item. You can see that it's from the interface. From there, we're going to do server spawn item, which is this one that we did over here. We're going to plug the class in, and it's not going to work because in our inventory, when we update, you can see we also need to actually drag in the class itself. So this also means that we can actually skip this. So delete that and delete that. No, actually don't delete that. But we don't need to pass on the texture because we can just set this here. Remove the texture there. If we only pass on the item, we can just get. Here we can just get the class defaults and we can set it from here instead. Makes it a little bit cleaner. So in the inventory, it's enough that we just set that there now. And I mean, it still might be some error somewhere. I feel like there probably is. Yeah. So let's figure it out. So this is prime time for some error finding. Let's see if we get here. We are. And what is the item called? That's right then. That's good. So let's see if we get here. Do we get here? I feel like it should work. You know what? Why doesn't it spawn? Standalone. Okay, let me figure this out. 1 second. All right, I am back. That took a while. I mean, I knew this was gonna happen, but I still wanted to try it because UE and UE5 might have changed stuff, but still. So we are gonna have to do some stuff on the character. I think I'm gonna try to. I think I can actually make a manager component that handles the replication that comes with it, that just gets created from the component, maybe, so that we don't actually have to have anything in our character at all. But for now, I just put it in our character. So you need to create three events. One called server spawn item and one client spawn item. The server one is run on server, and the client one is run on owning client. The reason we need a client event first is because widgets only exist on the clients, so we can't call server events directly from the widget, which was what I tried to do before. So instead, this client spawn item is gonna run this server spawn item. So we first force ourselves to call a client RPC that in itself calls a server RPC. The server one does spawn actor from class. So we're just gonna drag the class through, drag the spawn transform through. Same thing here, class spawn transform. And we have this message from the interface, which is the spawn item. So in our drop slot, when we spawn the item, this is the same one from before. In the interface, you're gonna add another input for the transform. And one of the also reasons it didn't work when I tested was because we have this pickup function, right? So it picks up items automatically. So maybe some of you catched this. But what I did was I spawned the item, but since I instantly collided with it, I just picked it up again. So I didn't even have time to see it. But also it wasn't replicating properly. Now it is. So when we have this transform, we are going to, from here, we're gonna get the owning player pawn. We're gonna get the actor location. We're also gonna get the actor rotation. From there, from the rotation, we're gonna get the forward vector. We're gonna multiply the forward vector with a float that I just called item drop distance. This will be editable. Just gonna make it like this. which is the distance in front of the character that we are actually dropping the item. We're going to add the active location to this. We're going to plug that into the transform. This is the interface call that gets called in the character, which makes sure that we don't need to cast anything. And now, when we drop, it spawns. We are playing on the server, so let's just try if it works on the client as well, which it's probably not gonna do, but let's test it anyway. And it works, so that's nice. And let's test with 2. I'm gonna go ahead and pick it up and drop it, and it appears. There we go. Perfect. So it does work. 36 minutes. That was longer than expected, as usual. So that's gonna be it for this video. We're gonna keep improving this. There's probably gonna be a bunch of videos for this, but we're gonna keep going at it. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions as usual, and if you want any specific functions for the inventory system or specific things. I still haven't figured out a good way to make a spatial inventory like Resident Evil, so I probably won't do that. But apart from that, just give me suggestions and maybe I'll implement it. So yeah, that's gonna be it for this one. Let me know in the comments as usual, and please like and subscribe if you're new, and see you in the next one. Bye.